Not as easy as we made it look. Any excuses? Anybody needs to be better. The last couple of games, it's me.
Sorry, in what way do you think you need to be better?
I don't know. Got to figure it out.
We already showed what we're capable of, and we have been able to play one of the highest IQ games, and we just can't perform. So it's a matter of fact getting back to that and stay consistent.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Marty Time TV. I am Marty Cassavell. Thank you so much for joining me here on my channel. We're here just about not every day, but Tuesday. Not only is it a Taco Tuesday, that also means that we're delighted to go ahead and welcome in MLB.com's Padres beat reporter, AJ Cassavell, my press box buddy. AJ, how are you today?
I'm good. Rare Monday off day. So I'm feeling good for a 2-game series against the Giants.
Happy to hear it. Yeah, rare Monday off day indeed. I apologize right now in advance. I'm discombobulated this morning. I did not go running, which is my normal routine after a pot of coffee. Instead, I got to watch a bunch of first graders in their pajamas sing. I put on a performance today. So I'm just, my brain is fried. I've been taking notes with my Corolla. But anyways, great to see you, AJ. I want to start with AJ with Mike Shildt's comments right there at the top. What can Mike Shildt do better to go ahead and inspire his team and end this 4-game slide where they just can't do anything offensively?
Some of the other guys at the top of the lineup are having in that they're trying to do too much. They know that they have to carry that burden, and when you do that, that's just not the way baseball works. That's not helpful to the end game. So I think that's Mike trying to take some of the pressure off some of his guys. He hasn't done much that I would quibble with. I think maybe Jose Iglesias' a sacrifice bunt the other day, but who knows what that. There's not really much. I think he's managed his bullpen pretty expertly. He's done a pretty great job through the first month. So that's just him trying to take some pressure off some of his guys, because really what gets this thing turned around is getting these guys back, and I think we might be seeing that later today.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start there. I think the Padres and their fans could use some good news, man. Man, that lineup is different. I mean, Luis Arraez. I think Luis Arraez says he's passed the test. He's done everything. He's checked out. They are expecting Luis Arraez today, correct? And Jason Hayward possibly.
Yes. I think Luis Arraez is at this point almost a definite, unless something changes. Jason Hayward is a maybe, but he's ahead of those other 3 guys who are headed to Arizona for some live at bats, some more. I guess it's easier for them to work there because there's no game going on to get in their way. There's no big league game. They can get 7, 8, 9 at bats on a backfield. So these guys are all coming back, let's say in the next, 10 days, 2 weeks or so. And they're going to have 2 of the left-handed hitters, Hayward and Arraez, back in their lineup, possibly against the Giants this week. That's huge. I mean, this lineup, not only have these injuries hit at a pretty bad time in that they've happened all together, but they're all left-handed batters. And so the lineup is and they've only faced righties basically since the injuries, since they piled up and since Luis Arraez got hurt. So I don't know. It just feels like you get, even just putting Luis Arraez back into this lineup, it looks a lot better. Gavin Sheets, he has been awesome this season.
Yes,
his at-bats look different. He is not a number 2 hitter. That's just not what the Padres signed him to be or want him to be. If he can be a really good 5, 6, 7 guy in the lineup, great. That's the max for what you wanted out of Gavin Sheets this year. He's not a number 2 hitter. Luis Arraez can slot right in there, and all of a sudden there's a little bit more balance, and all of a sudden maybe I think as great as Tatis has been, you maybe saw him trying to do a little bit too much in some of those at bats, which he hasn't done all season long. So he gets some grace for that. Baseball's a weird sport in that if no one's hitting, no one is really hitting. People want to say hitting is contagious. I mean, that's as cliche as that is. Part of it stems from the fact that you understand what needs to be done, and if the whole lineup is producing like we saw in the first homestand of the season, it doesn't feel like you have to go up there and do too much. Right now, I think some of these hitters are feeling like they do.
I think you almost answered my next question. What has changed with this Padres team from a week ago when we were talking about them as one of the best teams in baseball and somehow finding a way to overcome their injuries? And I know you love power rankings in April. They were number 1 in ESPN's power rankings. They were tied, I think, with the Cubs for the second best run differential in baseball. Did things just catch up to them? I mean, it's remarkable they were able to play as well as they did so soon after the injury. So I don't know if there was just a sense that, wow, the Padres, they can do this. They can do this with Jose Iglesias. They can do this with their catching tandem. They can figure out a way. But man, it's really caught up in the past week or so.
Yeah, I think that's all it is. I really am not looking at this stretch of the season and being like, wow, this is what is happening to the Padres? What's gone wrong? Like, it's not. We know exactly what's gone wrong. Like, they're hurt. They don't have 44% of their starting lineup, and it's like none of those guys are out long term. So it's not like, oh, how do you solve this problem? Well, you solve the problem by getting healthy. I think there's cause for concern in that, like, these losses count too. Like, the early season wins were great and getting off to the hot start. Everyone wanted to say it was early. Well, it's early, but when you start 12-1 at home or whatever it was, like, those are 12 wins you have in the bank. Well, these last 4 losses are losses you have in the bank. So, like, the NOS is going to be tough all season long. I think it's fair to be a little bit concerned about like where they stand in the division, given their struggles lately. But, like, in the grand scheme of playoff positioning and where the Padres want to get to, like, none of these injuries are affecting any of that. I think they can still look at the season and say, hey, we just got to get healthy and go and try and keep the boat afloat. I think that was Machado's line in Detroit last week, until those guys get back. And one of them comes back tonight. Maybe more of them come back in the very near future.
Okay, I do want to get to a couple of the guys in the lineup, including Xander Bogaerts, who I know has drawn the ire of Padres fans. I mean, listen, the Padres struggles aren't just about Xander Bogaerts, but I know if you're a Padres fan, you expect a lot more from one of your higher paid players. When you got to the injuries, you said now Arraez, Jason Hayward likely today, and you said maybe the next 10 days for Cronenworth, Merrill, and Lockridge. Is Jackson Merrill any closer to returning, just based on what he was able to do? To show at Petco Park. I think he was hitting on the field. And I know Lockridge talked about running full sprints, running 40-yard dashes. So could those guys be a little bit sooner?
Yeah, I think they could be. I say within the next 10, 14 days, it could be earlier in the road trip. Like, I think maybe Cronenworth is the farthest away of those guys, because his rib is not going to heal until his rib's not going to be fully healed till I think probably the end of May. He could come back before then, just because if it's a pain tolerance thing. But Lockridge and Merrill have been running. I think the question mark is, like, they've been running full speed, but they have to do it to an extent where they're not concerned that it's going to happen again because of all the work they've done. They just need to increase the volume of how much they're running, which comes with getting a bunch of at bats and then maybe running the bases a bunch of times and doing it in Arizona. That's why they're all there. So I don't know. I don't want to put an exact, like, guesstimate on when they'll be back, but maybe a week from now or so, like sometime New York, Colorado. Okay,
you sound like Mike Shildt. He hates putting timelines and everything, but I know.
Well, I just did put a timeline on it. I put a small one. Mike doesn't put any timeline at all. He just he says, well, it could be in a day, it could be next season. We don't know. We want to put timeline on it.
He just talks just vaguely, and then they post something like minutes later. So that's Mike Shildt. By the way, I know you Darvish through last week. Do we have anything new on Darvish? What his timeline's looking like?
I don't think we have too much new on him, other than that his bullpens have kind of just been. I look at what he's doing right now and see, like, pretty much a spring training kind of progression, because he didn't really get there in spring training. So his bullpens are just ramping up in intensity. He's throwing more breaking pitches in them. He threw the last one he threw, I can't remember what day it was. Maybe it was Saturday. It looked like a regular normal bullpen. I know he was just kind of throwing lightly off the mound before then. So, like, if this is a spring training progression, I'm looking at the Padres schedule and seeing all these off days. They went back down to this 4-man rotation. Like, they don't need to rush Darvish back, because, like, the end of May is when it really heats up and when they really need that extra, like, really quality starting pitching innings. Until then, they can alternate 4-man, 5-man. I think it's smart what they're doing with this 4-man rotation right now. Okay. So end of May is when I would, like, look at it and be like, well, it'd really be helpful if he could be back by then. Before then, I'm not sure I see it as, like, super imperative that he rush back.
AJ, a couple weeks ago when we talked about the Padres bench, and I asked, is this Padres bench, is their depth better than it was last year when they had Donovan Solano and David Peralta? And I think you were like, hold on. That was a little bit better. Now, the difference right now is a lot of those bench pieces are having to play every single day because of the injury. What did we learn about the depth inside the Padres organization and what's currently on the 40-man from the past couple of weeks? Yeah,
it's probably not good enough. And I think if the Padres are healthy, there's plenty of, like, like that's fine. Like you can be a team that's not that deep and let those guys carry you. They have useful depth pieces. I think Jose Iglesias has been really like that was an extremely useful signing because
I agree.
you look at that infield and guys are not going to be healthy all year long. There are a bunch of like 4 guys who are, I don't know, Luis Arraez is under 30, but they're all guys that could be injured or could need days here and there. You just lost Ha-Sung Kim. Now you get an excellent defender to kind of keep that defensive identity. Like that's a useful depth piece. Tyler Wade, he's been really good in his role, but his role should not be starting center fielder. His role should be 26th man, play wherever you need him to play, come off the bench and pinch run. So I think what we're seeing is that the Padres have some useful depth pieces, not enough of them. And this is a lot of injuries. I don't think they expected this many injuries to be happening at once, but they have some useful depth pieces who are now being asked to overexert themselves into roles that they probably shouldn't be in. And if you get Luis Arraez back and then maybe you get Jackson Merrill back soon, all of a sudden, like Tyler Wade is now on the bench as that pinch runner, as that utility man. Maybe he takes it at bat against a right-handed pitcher. And Jose Iglesias is filling in as a utility man, maybe giving guys DH days. Like that's pretty useful depth. It's just not quite enough of it as we're seeing right now with all these injuries, which I mean, every team deals with injuries. Like it's going to be tough to deal with. Maybe 1 or 2 of those guys come back, and it's a different narrative. So, like, that was a long answer. The short answer is the depth is not what it was last year. Like the depth helped carry them last season, but the depth isn't bad. The depth is just being severely tested right now, more than I think the Padres thought it would be.
We're talking to AJ Cassavell of MLB.com, the Padres beat reporter and my press box buddy. I sit right next to AJ Cassavell in the press box, which I have for the past, I don't know how many years. We're brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. AJ Cassavell, I was so close to texting you last night and say, hey, man, get your cold beer. Let's go ahead and have this conversation, and we'll talk Padres. We'll have to do that next time because there's a lot more to go. All right, Luis Campusano has never been more popular with the Padres fans than he was during this losing streak. Why is Luis Campusano not a better option than some of the guys the Padres are bringing up here as their depth is being including Mason McCoy, who can play the infield?
Yeah, I mean, Mason McCoy is like that. I think that's a separate thing because he's an infield piece that like you don't want to have to scramble to fill a spot in the infield with, like I think we talked about this last time with like Fernando Tatis Jr. or something like that.
Right.
Campusano, obviously, I think like it starts with the fact that he's a catcher and that the Padres are really happy with what they're getting from their pitching staff this season. Like their pitching has been, if not the best pitching staff in baseball, it's like right up there with the Mets. I think the Tigers have been pretty good too. Like it's one of the best. And all those pitchers will tell you that like those guys are playing an important role in that. So that aside, you can still, if Elias Diaz and Martin Maldonado are affecting the pitching side of things, that's we can say that that's fine. Like what you want out of your catcher is that first and foremost, and then a bat. Campusano obviously doesn't bring some of the same things defensively that they do. That being said, like you could still have Campusano up to take a pinch hit at bat late in the game, and that's to me like where I think the question mark is. Part of it maybe is that all these guys are like these injuries are going to resolve themselves soon. I can't imagine like they would go with the bench that they have, which is almost no options for like a real pinch hit at bat late in the game. I can't imagine they would go with that group if this was going to linger on long term. But now that like Arraez and Hayward may be coming back, like maybe there's no need to have promoted Luis Campusano for 3 games over the weekend and then send him right back down. Like, is that something you want to do? Do you want to waste an option or like waste a call up and send down? I don't know, but I do look at the team and say, he would be impactful off the bench. And probably if you're trying to win the most games, if you're trying to put out the best team, he's probably a better option than some of the guys you've got there with what you've gotten from Yuli Gurriel and Connor Joe and can Luis Campusano do some of those things? He's also never really served in that off the bench role.
Right.
So maybe there's the question mark there and I can see that. But I think clamoring for him at catcher is a little bit like unwise because of how good the pitching staff has been, but asking for him to take a spot on that bench, I think makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, I'm not even thinking about at the catching role. I think as a DH, as a bench, I'm looking at the seventh inning. I was taking notes from Sunday. Connor Joe pinch hits for Tristan Ornelas, Iglesias sack, Mason McCoy pinch runs for Connor Joe. I'm like, how is Luis not, if he's prepped and he's knowing this is going to be your role, you're not competing for a job behind the plate, right? It's not going to be a platoon. It's just to solidify that bench and add some pop to that lineup. How is he not a better option? That's just, I think, where some fans are at this point.
Completely, and that's a completely fair point. I think like if these injuries would last longer, like I think he has to be. I would say he has to be, and I would be like kind of calling for it and asking why not. I think the fact that like it was really just a 4 or 5 game thing where they're without all these guys, and if Luis Arraez is coming back tonight, like maybe the bench will get better when these starters get healthier because some of those guys get relegated to the bench. Now maybe you've got, I don't know, Oscar Gonzalez to come off the bench who puts together a decent at bat, and I think you can feel comfortable having Oscar Gonzalez as your bench guy over Luis Camposano. So I don't know if you have more injuries, like I don't see why he wouldn't be called up and would be part of that bench. But for now, it makes sense to me that he would be that at least waiting.
The Padres are going to look a lot different a week from now. Hopefully, when I check in with you when they are in New York, right? That's next Tuesday.
Yep.
New York series. Okay, good deal. All right. Before I get to a much improved Giants team led by Bob Melvin, who I'm sure the fans can't wait to cheer tonight when he comes out for a pitching change. The Xander Bogaerts thing. I mean, fans are upset right now. That was a miserable weekend of baseball. They didn't do, save for Tatis, there maybe Ornelas getting his first major league hit. There really was no highlight the entire weekend. And I know Xander Bogaerts, man, has a couple errors this weekend. He had a miserable series. I mean, he walked a couple times on Sunday. What can you say about Xander Bogaerts' struggles and what you're seeing from him at this point?
Yeah, he's searching for it. The one thing I'll say is like he obviously judge him through the lens of the contract that he signed. But at this point, like I think you can say pretty clearly, like he's not going to live up to what that contract is, but he could still be a useful Xander Bogaerts. He could still be a guy who hits sixth in your lineup. And right. Like you look at some of his clutch stats and they're really bad since joining the Padres, and they were really, really good with Boston. And so who knows, like that stuff is maybe small sample and maybe it's cherry picking a little bit, but he just needs like a couple in some big spots to have a line drive fall down the line or something like that, because it's been pretty bad. I think one of the things that's been suggested is maybe like he's working his walks. He's making contact here and there. I think he's striking out or he's whiffing a little bit less. But he's not hitting for much power. He's not hitting for much slug. Like, could he be more aggressive? Could he be going after could he add a few more strikeouts? I know fans don't want to see that in search of like hitting that slug, finding those doubles, finding those homers. I don't know. I'm not a hitting coach. It's that would just seem to me to be like one of the things that you really want out of this guy who has, like, he's not a power hitter, but he has power potential. So I don't know. I guess I think he'll find something soon enough. He's a better baseball player than what he's shown in the last couple of weeks. I think early in the season he had some really kind of quality at bats and he was hitting the ball hard and like maybe didn't have the results to show for it. And I thought maybe some of the early criticism was unfair. And then I was maybe wrong about that because he kind of fell into this rut where he's just made a lot of soft contact. But he's got to figure it out and he's got to kind of put it together at some point in these clutch situations, because he really just hasn't done that in San Diego yet. The struggles are pronounced given the injuries. But I think I just think that if he comes back, if he's maybe fifth or sixth in the lineup as opposed to hitting fourth and in a lineup where everyone below him isn't really an RBI threat, that just makes it worse.
I imagine like right now isn't the time to give a player a mental reset or a break, maybe a couple DH days or just sit him on the bench a couple days because they need him, right? They don't have that many better options. I know people are saying, hey, Mason McCoy can't be worse defensively than Xander, but he strikes me as a guy that when the offense is bad, the defense is bad, that struggles as well. Like they go hand in hand. And right now he's not doing either one very well.
Yeah, and the defense is going to be what it is. It's not like he's not a good defensive shortstop. He's not a terrible defensive shortstop. Like the couple errors he had were just, again, like they don't have any offense in the bottom of their lineup. So if Xander Bogaerts makes an error and it leads to a run, all of a sudden that feels like 4 runs because of what they're getting offensively. Whereas last season, well, then Jackson Merrill hits a 2-run bomb and everyone forgets about that error. I don't think the defense. I think the defense is like, aside from 2 pretty bad errors, like it's fine. He's gonna be fine as a subpar shortstop who should be hitting more than he is now. That's the issue. The issue is the bat, and he needs to hit, and he needs to hit in some more clutch situations.
A couple quick questions. I know you have to run shortly here, but is Xander Bogaerts tradable? I mean,
I don't think so. I don't think they would even consider that. Like, it just like what you would have to do with that contract, it would be hard, and the things that the Padres would have to do to make it happen. I'm hoping that he's making what he's making. He's not going to be that level of player, but can he offset some of that cost by being a pretty productive, poor defensive, like mediocre to poor defensive shortstop? I think he could be.
That move to first base could be coming a lot sooner than I know Xander Bogaerts wanted, because it's that much closer to the dugout.
I thought he was pretty good as a second baseman. I thought he was defensively pretty good as a second baseman. So, like that being what it is, he's not playing second. So, again, I'm not too concerned about the defense. I think the defense is just going to be what it is. It's the bat that's got to get going.
Okay, Giants, man. This is a new look Giants team, a healthier Giants team. Woo-Sut-Go's brother-in-law. Remember Woo-Sut-Go? Young Hoo Lee, right? So he's healthy now. Wilmer Flores, Willie Adames is clicking. How dangerous are these new look San Francisco Giants?
I don't think they're that, like, if you're looking at the NL West, I think the Dodgers are obviously still the team to beat. I think these Giants seem pretty resilient. They just came off a stretch of 17 games in 17 days and playing really good teams, playing on the road for most of them, and went 10-7. So division games are going to be important. You don't know who the teams I'm just going to, like, given all the injuries and all the attrition and how tough it's been right now, the Padres say they want to win the NL West. Let's say that the most realistic path to the playoffs is getting in as a wild card, because that's probably true. Like, who are those other teams they're going to be competing with? Well, you look at the way the standings are shaping up now, the Giants are probably going to be one of them. So these games are really important. I think we talked about it last week. Like, we would know how important the Padres felt they would be if they moved Michael King up in the rotation because of the off days. And here we are. They're pitching Nick Pivetta and Michael King, which is exactly how you want to line it up.
And yeah, by the way, if you're the Padres and you're looking to go ahead and end a slide, you want Nick Pivetta, who's been nothing short of sensational at Petco Park. So it should be fun. AJ Cassavell, I always enjoy talking to you. Do you have a beer recommendation or shout out before you have to go off and do your thing?
I'm drinking the Alpine Variety Pack right now. Those are great.
Oh, really?
So
I love Alpine. The Duet, Hoppy Hops.
Duet, what is it? Windows
birthday?
Up. That's another.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
Okay. All right, guys. So that was AJ Cassavell of MLB.com talking about the Padres. They're expecting Luis Arraez back today. Jason Hayward. No one's thinking that Jason Hayward is going to be the fix-all solution, but it's going to give you some. He's going to give you some major league at-bats. If you're the Padres, you are better suited with Jason Hayward in certain situations, including on the base pass, than you would be with Tristan Ornelas or Mason McCoy. Of course, we'll get more of an update on Jake Cronenworth, Jackson Merrill, and Brendan Lockridge, who are all in Arizona on a rehab assignment. I do also, when Mike Shildt speaks, hopefully we'll get more information on what's going on with Ethan Salas, right? One of their top prospects, maybe their second best prospect now behind DeVry, as to why he's back on the IL. I'm sure the Padres are a bit concerned, although they will never tell you what's going on with that injury. But we will have a really busy update coming from Petco Park. Hopefully Luis Arraez is back and we're talking to him. And I know Xander Bogaerts has been the focus of ire, considering his struggles. We didn't get a chance to talk to him on Sunday, but one thing that Xander Bogaerts does do, takes a lot of accountability. The effort's never been a question. I know that doesn't help fans feel any better, but we'll see what the Padres can do with Xander, and I don't think we can expect to see him batting second or third or fourth as guys get healthier. Nick Pivetta on the mound with the Padres tonight. Tony Gwynn bobblehead night. That's going to be awesome. I have to add it to my collection. What do I have now? I have nothing behind me right now, guys. All right. We will talk to you later on today at Petco Park. I will be there. We'll have the latest from Mike Shildt, Luis Arraez, Jason Hayward, and we will talk to you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching Marty Time TV. I am Marty Caswell. You can find more content on my channel, including my interview with Sheil Seidler. Ran into her at Petco Park on Friday. We had a conversation, not about litigation, but just what it meant to be around at Petco Park. I'm expecting a conversation with Manny Machado today, so we will bring that back to you as well. We are brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Player's Place. Don't forget, if you have questions for AJ Cassavell that you would like me to ask next time, please, you can join our chat here. You can send them to me on Threads. Yes, I'm on Threads at Marty Caswell 619, as well as Instagram, or the best way is usually still on Twitter at Marty Caswell, and of course, Blue Sky. All right, guys. Well, when I go to Petco Park, I'm going to find out what can Mike Shildt do better. What did he reflect upon during this Padres off day? We'll find out. If I'm Shildt, I'm going to say, you know what I can do better? I can have Luis Arraez in my lineup. That's a difference maker. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we will talk to you soon. Have a great Tuesday.